Yep.
Here you go. Hey, everybody.
Hey, guys. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
It's Jenny
And Paul.
with the Go Box and Bingo Artist Bar. We are streaming live from Sherwood, Oregon. And those of you who have been to our studio, it is located in Southeast Portland. Closed right now, but we're happy to have the Go Box and these at-home kits, and happily shipped out a lot this week.
Wow, we did ship out a lot.
We shipped out a lot, yeah. So thank you guys for helping support us. It's really helping a lot while we're closed. This is our crazy busy season in the studio, and being closed is like seriously detrimental to everything. All we can do is laugh about it because it's like, what else can happen in 2020? It's just been
all the small businesses that are
all of them
in the service industry are struggling right now. So we can't feel too bad about the fact that we're
in the same boat as all of the rest of them.
Well, no, we're not, because we're still open.
We're still open. Well, no, we're closed right now.
Yeah, but we just found out one of our favorite little restaurants is having to shut down, and that's always sad. And it is what it is.
Yeah.
Ooh, I hate to say that. Yeah, it's a terrible thing to say. It's a terrible thing to
Well,
say.
anyway, on to happier topics tonight.
Yep.
We are painting this adorable holiday painting, Merry and Bright. I actually designed this a year ago, tweaked it a little bit for the Go Box. I think I only ran it in class one time last year. So I was happy to add it. Oops, it's out of the picture. Happy to add it. I just love the whole look of this. And it goes with the barn and the red truck. They're a series. You can buy a 3-pack of them. They go together. And they're really cute. When we zoom in, I'll show you guys.
Don't you feel like the holiday paintings always kind of like they sneak up on us and then there's like boom, then they're done.
Yeah, definitely.
And
the holidays in general.
Yeah. Well, we always have like a big fall is always a popular time of year because of the subject matter, and then we get into Halloween and we want to do something that's a little bit Halloween. It's kind of hard to come up with a Thanksgiving painting, so we kind of just do
Christmas.
And then boom, Christmas, and we just have a couple of weeks to 3 or 4 weeks where we can really get Christmas paintings in, and then they're gone.
Yep.
Until the next year. So
until the next year.
It's kind of like this is these fun little Christmas themed or winter themed paintings. These ones have Christmas trees, so they're kind of Christmas themed. They don't necessarily do well in May.
Too bad, because it would be fun. But let's go ahead and let's do our toast, and then we'll zoom in.
Let's toast.
So we're doing orange creamsicle cider.
Yep, we're just going straight out the can.
Cheers. Hopefully you guys have something courageous to give you courage, liquid courage to drink tonight, too.
We got it.
All right, we're going to zoom in on the camera picture. We're going to disappear for a bit. There we go. The other two I was talking about.
Bring us back. We're back.
There's the red barn, goes with this. It's like supposed to be part of the same landscape. And the super popular red truck.
I mean, you could do all 3 of them together.
You could do all
Well, I mean, that's why we did the kit, but you could lay them all side to side.
And have the horizons all line up.
They would look like a triptych.
Okay, let's talk about colors.
Talk about our color scheme.
So we have the primary colors plus black and white, the blue, red, yellow. Those of you who have the Go Box kit, you got turquoise. If you want to use this anywhere in this painting, you absolutely can.
Can I take a second to say something?
Depends. Okay.
If this is your first month that you've gotten the kit, there's been some confusion a little bit for first time people, and it's pretty normal. The paint you received, the
large bottles.
The large bottles. That's a 3-month supply. We will reship those, a new batch for you. I guess that would be in March.
Yeah.
So you'll get your next batch in March. If you run low, let us know, and you can always order some more if you need some more.
Yeah, it should be enough for 3 months of projects. Just whenever you set up your palette, always try to go a little bit easy because you can always add more. Can't put it back in the bottle. That's a little
Back
harder.
when we used the smaller bottles, which you would have received this turquoise color. We were sending the primary colors plus black and white out each month in those size bottles, and you're actually getting 4 months worth of paint now in the bigger bottles.
Yeah, well,
compared to what we were sending.
We tend to try to stay pretty waste free, and we were not liking all the plastic bottles going out and going in the garbage somewhere. So
cutting down on that
as much as we can. Mm-hmm. Those of you who have the kit, your packing paper that comes in the kit to when we ship it, you can use that as table paper. That's what we're using right now. And one of my other students does that. They mentioned it, and I thought, that's a great idea. So
you know what else I use it for? I use it for starting our campfires.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay.
Yeah.
So you should have some brushes. Some of you have different kits than what I've got right here. It doesn't matter. They all get the same job done. I just want a small, medium, and large. That's what I use for every painting. A cup of water to wash your brush in, and some sort of towel or paper towel or something. I'm going to set this aside. I was born with T-Rex arms. I can't reach.
All right, let's zip out of here.
Let's zip out of here.
Zing.
Okay.
One of these days, maybe I'll get some like fast sound effects that I can make. You know, like a little board where I can push a button and go bang or something like that.
No, I think that's okay.
I think it would be much more fun.
I give you your own palette tonight, so don't try to steal mine.
Well, you did that last time too.
So you probably don't need as much paint. I just habitually break my own rules that I say and habitually put a lot on the palette. But the wood board really sucks up the paint pretty fast.
It does indeed.
But it also goes a long way. So I'm going to take the biggest brush first and go ahead and dip it in your water cup. Kind of gently swish it back and forth across the bottom just to loosen up the bristles, especially if it's a new brush set. And then I'm going to take the brush out and I'm going to add a drop of water next to my blue. Probably 2 glops of water. See that rolling around there?
Any questions?
Yeah, type your questions on there. Yeah. We're live.
I'm keeping an eye on it. So
Yeah.
If you have any questions, there is a little delay. So if you ask a question via the chat, it's going to be a few seconds before we see it and get a chance to respond. But we are keeping an eye open.
Okay, so we've got our little dab of water here. Let's use the corner of our brush and pick up a little blue paint and mix it in. And you'll notice little specks of pigment. I just kind of mash them around.
Oh, okay. So a little bit of water.
Water and the sapphire blue.
Sapphire.
Mix them around. So see how that watery that is? We're treating this like a wood stain. Now I'm going to add just the tiniest bit of black. Now the black really will change the color pretty quickly, so I use just a little. So this is going to make slate blue. It's a really pretty color, actually. I love that. And then we're going to lighten it. We don't want too dark of a background, so I'm going to add, unless maybe you do, I'm going to add a little white. So you get kind of a light bluish gray that's really, really watery. And you'll probably have to make this as you go. You'll see right away how fast the wood board swallows this. And on your wood board, turn it so the grain is horizontal. That tends to look a little bit better because it can almost look like clouds depending on what little grain formations you have. And then I'm just going to brush back and forth. See how watery this is? Yours should be pretty watery. You'll get collections of it at the edges, and what I do as my brush runs out of paint, I'll go down further, then I'll just come back and brush those in. And the wood will suck that right up.
Hey, you're flicking paint on me.
Sorry. So here we go.
Simmer down now.
We're going to take this all the way down. So see this cool wood grain? I've got some like V shapes on here, so they don't necessarily look like clouds on mine, but oh well. Some of the other ones really did.
You know, one thing I like to do when we're doing this type of a kind of like glazing wood, staining it, I like to use my paper towel to kind of help spread it sometimes too. If you've got an extra paper towel or an extra towel.
You do all kinds of
whack things. I do, but there's more than one way to get from point A to paint B.
Paint A to paint B.
It's true.
I'm already running out of my stain color.
Me too.
I could technically just start painting white up there, but I like the white to go over the bluish, so I am going to make a little bit more just to finish this off. And if it's not the exact same shade, don't worry about it. In a naturescape, things are not always going to be the same. You're going to get this variation of color.
Boy, I got that last song that was on before we turned the music off stuck in my head.
Well, the other day you rickrolled me.
I did?
Didn't you? Did you put the hippopotamus song on?
Oh, yeah, I did. That was... You're welcome. You hijacked my Spotify account while I was driving, and I got you back.
Yeah, I hate that song with a burning passion. You guys probably know which song I'm talking about.
Nope, that's all right.
The obnoxious little, what is it? Who's it? Shirley Temple?
It's not. I don't know who it is.
Yeah. So I've got some glue. Every once in a while these wood boards come in and they will occasionally have a tiny bit. I assume it's wood glue.
Yeah, it's usually wood.
And so if yours has that, I try to save those for Paul and I to do our classes on. But every once in a while one might get missed. If you notice it before you start painting, you can run some fine sandpaper over it and it works just fine to get it off.
A lot of times that'll kind of just flick, like you can actually peel it off with a fingernail or something too.
Yeah, well I think my paint's going to cover it. Just going to add a little bit more blue up in here.
Blue up in here. Yeah, I got a couple little spots here.
Now on the original painting, I didn't do any cloud formations.
What?
I just have it be, it's like kind of just a slate sky. If you want to do clouds, let's see, is this a good one? Yeah, I have some clouds in the barn one. Well, kind of. I think they disappeared. I had just, I thought I swept in some white, but that might have been a different board painting that was similar. Here, I'll show you how to do it. If you want some light, thin clouds, you can sweep a little bit of white. I didn't even wash my brush, but look at how small of a blob of paint I pick up. And I just brush it in. And you can I think see it really like kind of just hazes right out.
This finished color kind of already looks like a cloudy winter sky to me. You know.
What are you doing? You got red in there.
I did on purpose. I actually didn't use any black in mine.
Well, la-dee-da.
I'm just showing you a different route.
Okay, so those of you who have the kit, you get these cool printed color instructions. For some reason the picture's printed really dark. Like this looks like he's wearing a black hat and scarf, but it's actually
it really did print
burgundy.
Really
yeah, Eric and I noticed that. So you can follow along and you can reference these if you want, but I'm going to
it almost just looks like it's black and white.
Yeah. I'll do it as I would teach live because I am teaching live, so sometimes I might switch around steps a little bit for drying time.
How dare you?
I'm going to take my brush. You don't need to wash it because it's got barely anything on it and it's going to mix with the blue color anyway. I'm going to dip it in some white. And let's brush white up from the bottom. We're going to come about halfway up to create our horizon line. And we develop this a little bit more later, so make sure it is kind of bluish grayish. If it's not, if it's too pure white, you're using a little bit too much paint. I'm using very little at a time. The reason I want it to be bluish grayish is that so later on when we come in and let me just go over here, create these snowbanks, this blue-gray that we're painting on here, that's what this is. So that creates a base, and then these bright white areas will be the actual banked snow.
So you have a little bit of color added to this, or are you just doing
No, it's just mixing on the wet on wet.
Oh, the old Bob Ross technique.
Yeah, the old Bob Ross technique.
Kind of.
Only acrylic.
Kind of. He stole it from Bill Alexander. But that's okay. It's not like it's patented.
Yeah, but everybody knows Bob Ross. Nobody knows the name Bill Alexander. Only very few. Very few people do. People who really are.
You know who he was? He was on OPB before Bob Ross.
But if you were to say in class, so we're going to do it like Bill Alexander, a lot of people would be like, who? That's all I'm saying.
That's true.
But I have heard people say that Bill was actually more talented than Bob Ross.
He taught Bob.
I don't know, but Bob is pretty talented. Pretty darn talented.
Back when he was a traditional painter, I don't know. I wonder what his paintings looked like, because he would talk about that. Back when I was a traditional painter, this technique was a whole lot more difficult.
I'm just adding a little more white in the sky.
Oh, Bob, you
hazy
rebel,
clouds. We don't want the white to compete too much with the snow base. But I like that. It'll look like a snow cloud.
Yeah.
And it was easy to do. It wasn't a super hard
I like it.
technique. Yeah. So our next step is we're going to create a tree line in the back. And I'll show it on the paper. It's right here. And you maybe didn't notice it before when you look at the whole original painting. But it's there. Don't stress out about it. When it looks like this, you're going to stress out about it because the only thing that really stands out on your board. So I know you're going to stress out about it, even though I tell you not to. Just try not to. Let's wash our brush. We're going to clean it and dry it. And we want to make the slate color that we made, but no water.
I'm so into this.
We
I'm
might
wiggling
do a
in my
drop
chair.
of water. Yeah, you are. What are you doing? You doing Aurora Borealis?
No. You're just going to have to wait and see.
So I'm going to pull aside some blue. So this time we want mostly paint. So not so much of the water. And I'll mix some black in there. Make a slate color with just the black and blue. Actually, it kind of makes an indigo color till we add white. Now let's add some white, just a little. And these trees in the background, they can be on the blue side, like this.
That's great.
I like kind of bluish gray. Yes. Or they can be darker and more gray. They can be, you can make it lighter if you feel like that's too dark. I feel like I want to add some white to that. I want it to stand out so it's not just disappearing into the wood color that we have on there. I think this one will be good. It's a pale slate gray.
Pale slate gray.
I'm going to flip this around so I can access it easier. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this skinny vertical edge. Let me move this aside. We're going to do this. We're going to wiggle our brush up and down as we go across the board. Don't worry about the bottom edge at all. I want you to worry about the top edge. So sometimes I'll go up and sometimes I'll go down, but I'm not lifting my brush at all. It's touching the surface the entire time. Then we go back and we can clean up down in here. So don't worry about the bottom edge.
Now if you have...
And don't stress out about this.
Let's give you all kinds of things to think about. Now don't stress about it.
Don't stress.
I noticed when we painted on Monday when we were doing this technique that if you have too much water, it just bleeds.
Oh yeah, if you have too much water in your paint, it will bleed into the wood a little bit. You can paint over it.
A little bit of that's okay because it kind of gives you the sensation of being foggy or atmospheric disturbances, big words.
So it's a happy little accident.
Yeah.
This bottom edge, we'll build some snow up to cover that and fill it in just a bit with some of this blue-gray. So that's not a problem right now to have it look so weird. We are painting a heart rate monitor right here, or a sound wave, whatever helps you to think about it. Sometimes the sound goes really loud.
Or maybe it's a seismograph.
A seismograph, yeah. A lie detector. All right, so I'm just going back and kind of brushing in some extra in here. If you're a little... These are supposed to be just a dense forest beyond our snowman. And if it's too sparse, paint some more color in there.
Do it.
Just do it, as Nikki would say.
Do it. Do it. We're going all the way across, huh?
Yeah, all the way across.
It's so easy to accidentally put a repeating pattern.
Yep, I do that all the time. And you could even tap in some
Give it a little tippy tap.
Spikes. You can kind of just move your brush.
I kind of find that when we do this technique, I kind of come back, kind of sit back once I'm done and decide, oh, do I need to, break this up? I've got a little spot here where I'm kind of repeating a pattern, so I'm going to make one a little taller and add in a little buddy right there and a little friend here, maybe a cousin, I don't know.
Yeah, some of mine has some water in it, so it is doing the bleed thing, and I love it actually for this.
It works cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's a neat kind of.
Some parts it wouldn't work so cool, but for what we're doing here, it's nice. So it will kind of look like grass to you. This is the grass phase.
It totally does. Mm-hmm. Until we get more detail on something closer.
Now I'm gonna wash my brush.
Do it.
You're such a nerd. And I'm gonna dry it off. I'll take a little bit of white, just a little, because we don't want what we're doing right now, to be super duper white. I'm just gonna brush over the bottom edge of these trees. Okay, I could have used a little more white than that.
Do it.
My blue trees dried really fast, so the bottom edge of them is not blurring in like I normally would like. And you can completely haze this out and make it foggy like Paul's. Look what he's doing. He's going crazy wild over here.
Woohoo!
You've got this ominous yellow glow in the background.
No, it's good. It's going to be great when it's all done.
Okay. Looks like there's maybe a...
I found the source of the yellow snow. It's the yellow snow clouds.
It looks like there's a UFO
there could be.
banked back there.
Could be.
Okay. I'm doing more than I have to do. I'm just having OCD, I guess.
Stop it.
I can't. So yeah, I could haze that all out and make it really foggy if I wanted to. On the original, I didn't. It's kind of more of a sharp background. But there you go. All done. Bye, guys. Thanks.
That's it. We're done. Yeah.
Kidding. You can call this snowfield with trees.
Now you're just messing with people.
Get ready. Take a sip of something because we are going to paint fir trees. Bigger ones. So I'll show you the paper. This is what we're going to do right here. This step. We do 4 ominous looking darker fir trees. And this is something that I said, keep these simple and stress free with a smiley face right there. Because I really wanted to tell you guys, don't stress about it.
You know what my rule is.
And the smiley face is so you're not like, she's mean.
You know what my rule is about doing this type of tree in the studio, right? Do one at a time.
One tree at a time?
Yep. And the reason
what else would you do? Well,
sometimes people go in and they'll do, because you teach with the trunk, and they'll go in and they'll paint their 4 trunks and then realize that they really hate painting trees, and now they've got to paint 4
then you're
trees.
Committed.
Yeah. So
I've tricked a lot of people into that.
Yeah. So do one at a time, and if you feel comfortable, you can keep adding trees. But if that first one means you need to call your therapist on Monday, yeah, you might want to just leave it at 1. Just leave it at 1.
Color-wise, we're going to use this same color, but we're going to add a little more black and blue to it. Mine's already dried pretty much, so I'm going to just remix some color. Black, blue. So we are making a slate color, but it's going to be more on the dark gray side compared to this. Like, this is really pretty blue. So I've got black and blue mixed together. It looks like, if I were to just quickly look at it, it looks like black because it's super dark. I stir some white in there gradually, just add a little. I never make enough paint.
Nobody ever does. But that's maybe not a good, it's better to not make enough than it is to make too much and run out of paint. It's not like the people at home have 4 gallons of each of these colors sitting adjacent in the other room. They might.
So to keep these trees pretty simple, I actually use, you know what this color is? It's like slate, like chalkboard slate. Like the old school, to keep these trees pretty simple, I did them all,
I remember on Little House on the Prairie, they were always talking about their slate tablets.
That's what they did homework on.
Yeah.
So I'll use this big brush, but if you feel more comfortable using the medium brush, then by all means, please do. We put the snow on the trees with the medium brush, and when we put the snow on, they improve so much, because right now they're going to look not so hot. So let's go ahead and plant them. I'll just pick a spot here over here, maybe an inch and a half or so in from the side here. It doesn't matter between here and here where you put it, but somewhere in the middle. And I'm going to go up. It's going to go tall up into the sky. And then what I do at the very top of this tree, so the tops are nice and pointy. Let me grab something close to me. I'll grab the truck painting. These are the same trees. So see how the tops are nice and pointy? And then they just gradually get a little bit wider, but they're kind of a tall, skinny cone shape. It's really easy to accidentally make them a little too big right off the bat. To get the little spike that sticks up straight, I do use the corner of the brush and do like maybe a row of like 6 or 7 dots. So it doesn't really look like I did much at all, but it's there. Then I'll use the corner of my brush and create what looks like a little droopy mustache. And there you have an arrow pointing up in the sky. Then I'll do another, and I'm eventually going to turn my brush and use the whole flat edge, but I want to get this started kind of more delicate at first. Now I'm probably going to turn my brush, and I'm just dabbing back and forth across. Work your way across. Blot out the trunk. We don't need the trunk to show at all. And see how it's not super duper wide. It just gradually gets a tiny bit wider than it is at the top. You know, next week we have our other December painting, which is Frozen Twilight. A lot of people bought that kit. They really like it. Real quick, on the bottom, I just sort of do the last tree bough, and we're going to put some snow around the bottom of it. I've got a pretty tall, skinny tree here. Could have made it a little bit wider down in here. Anyways, yeah, next week, Frozen Twilight, Friday, same time. That's the 18th.
Same paint time, same paint location.
Same paint time, same paint location. I'm going to do another tree just to the left of this one, maybe about an inch away from here.
So it's going to be interesting because next week
make it either taller or shorter.
Next week I'll be teaching the fir trees.
Yeah.
Which will be
different. You guys will learn different technique. Ones. And so little row dots up here, little mustache.
There's nothing wrong with either technique, but you might find that one works better for you and the other one might be like completely like a foreign language.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely do trees different. I think it's good that way because you guys, you'll learn from two different instructors with two different techniques. Every artist kind of has their own way of doing it. You'll eventually have your own way of doing it. And it does get easier. If this is your first real-time painting, it's difficult at first because you haven't built up the confidence of many, many things. The confidence of what it feels like to hold a brush in your hand as opposed to like a pencil. Or the confidence of knowing when I touch the brush this way to this surface, this is what's going to happen. And that's what makes a good artist is you get that confidence. And you will get it the more you paint.
You know what I think the biggest...
I'm going to do this one just real close and shorter.
Confidence aspect when people are first starting.
What's that?
Is breaking away from the idea of, I know that I painted a couple little lines to make this look like this. Mm-hmm. And thinking to themselves that to somebody else, they don't know the process that they use to create the tree. Mm-hmm. So they don't see the process, they just see the finished product. And to make it simple, a lot of times people, they get too focused in on knowing how they made it and versus what it actually looks like in the finished product. And I noticed that.
Yeah, I can see that.
I noticed that especially like when we're doing like the beach waves where it's literally just like a white line with a bluish gray line underneath it to create the shadow. A lot of people just see those lines because they know that's what they did to make them.
Yeah,
without actually seeing what it actually looks like.
But yeah, that's totally correct. A lot of what we're doing right here gets covered up because we put that main tree. T-Rex arms. We put this tree.
You should sue your parents.
I should sue my parents. It's my mom. Thanks, Mom. Okay, so yeah, this goes there. So a lot of the lower half of these trees, if you're stressing about them, you don't need to.
You should never actually stress about any of this process.
No. Just use it as learning. I've got one more tree to make over here. And I ran out of paint, so I'm going to mix some more real quick. So this tree, I think I'll tuck it back a little bit. Like maybe start it. So if I were to draw an imaginary line across here, it might go up like maybe 2 inches. Right about there. There it is, a little speck. And that leaves a nice gap for the snow person. But if your snowman overlaps any of the trees, that's fine. That's exactly what it would do in the natural world. Here we go. About that tall, I think, for this one. Little dots at the top, little mustache. Yeah, so trees are something that do take some practice and some confidence building. They're probably, out of all the things in the last 9 years of having the studio, all the things that I've taught, I think trees and mountains tend to be things that...
And clouds.
That cause a little trouble.
It's all the natural things.
They're all so different. They're all so different. And they're different in nature. And your trees might look different than mine. I have a tendency to make pretty narrow trees. And I'm going to admit I'm not the greatest fir tree painter. Paul is much better than I am. But I can paint owls like crazy.
Me, not so much.
Yeah. Any of the whimsical stuff, that would be me. So I'm trying to think of something whimsical for January, because Paul's going to do another traditional...
No, I like what you've got going.
I don't know.
I do. I think it's great.
I've got a concept I've been working on, and I'm not 100% sold on it yet. So I'm not even going to say what it is, just in case. You know what? If you guys have suggestions of what you want to paint next, please send us your suggestions. We love to see that. You know, one thing, this isn't what I was working on, my concept, but I've always thought a covered bridge. We've never done a covered bridge.
We've never done a covered bridge.
That would be fun. Maybe sometime we could... I mean, you guys probably like to paint snow stuff. Like, I think of snow throughout, like, January and February.
Yeah, for sure.
When you get into March, it's kind of more like you're thinking more spring. But for those cold months, I think snow. So we can do some snow.
Snowman.
All right, our next step, we're going to let these dry just a little bit, because if we flock them with snow right now, it'll turn pretty gray.
What the flock? You gotta be flocking kidding me.
So we're gonna let those dry, and we're gonna work on our snow around here. So try not to get your brush close to the trees yet. We will in a while, but for now we want to keep the white away from them. I'm using my middle-sized brush. You can dip it in water if you want. I do like to start with the brush slightly damp and loosened up, and then dry it. And when I dry it off, one of the things I tend to forget is to dry this metal ferrule, because you'll get a rogue drop of water on there that will it'll come rolling down when you're working on something, and then you'll just get this blob of water on your surface.
If you're working on an easel, then that's less likely.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't really recommend an easel for the first wash that we do, but the rest of this you can definitely use an easel.
I love the way you say easel.
What do I say?
You say easel.
Easel?
Easel.
So weird.
Yeah.
I never noticed that.
You know.
Now it's going to give me crazy insecurity every time I say it. We don't use easels.
That's the way you normally actually say it, right there.
We don't use them for our videos, because this works super good to get a nice zoomed in view. And I mean, you don't always have to use one unless you really want to feel super artistic.
I prefer an easel.
Okay.
I prefer an easel too.
Let's take our middle brush and dip it in some white. You don't need a ton of paint, so if you dipped it in and you picked up a lot, just brush it off on your palette. We're picking up white. We're painting some definition in the snowfield. You're too busy making fun of me.
I'm not making fun of you.
So let's go back here.
Maybe a little bit.
I create some little lumps and bumps, and what I do is I brush down under those and just let my brush run out of paint. And ready for more somewhere else. Let's see. I'll do another here. I actually think that these can look like waves in an ocean, kind of. And you'll get a feel for whether or not, if you're using too much paint or too little. I kind of think I was using maybe too little, because it does dry so fast on this wood. But here's an example of what I was saying earlier, leaving that dark grayer base in there and now having this bright white come in. You get that cool, defined, textured look, like, oh, this field really is lumpy bumpy. There's rocks and all kinds of things under here that we can't see, but they're covered with snow. You can have a perfectly flat field too, if that's what the style you want to go for. I mean, this really could be a flat field. I hear people doing holiday festivities outside our studio, which means they're drinking at a bar. So there is one downstairs from us, and it's downstairs one business over. And it's a great little Irish pub. And nobody is doing indoor dining right now, but they have this really neat outdoor patio with heaters. I've seen a lot of people today coming in and out of there. I mean, they only seat so many, but people are getting in the spirit.
The drunken spirit.
The drunken spirit. We need some spirit this year. Good Lord. So Paul sent this article to me, which I really hope is true. But I don't know who was predicting that.
UCLA.
So you explain it, because I didn't read the article. I only read the headline.
Oh, they just said that we're going to have a really uncomfortable winter from a national economic standpoint, just because of all the closures and stuff.
So that part I'm not hopeful for.
No, but the good news is, as the vaccines start to work their way through, we'll start to see more confidence, and what they're anticipating is that
we're going to have a roaring 20s sort of feel.
For the next, starting towards the end of the 2021, we'll start to see that resurgence, but for the next several years, we can expect nice economic growth as we get over this yucky stuff we've been dealing with this year.
That would be so nice. It's like so hard to imagine right now. So I created this sort of little bump here that my snowman can sit right there. You can do that too if you want. I didn't even actually plan for it. I just looked at it.
It just happened.
It just happened, but it is on the original.
That's
kind of. I actually like my snowfield on this one better than the original. Look at that, how cool that is. You can totally create all that texture out of nothing.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay, let's put some snow on our trees. Now, if they're not 100% dry, that's fine. I've got some wet spots on here. Here and there, I can see some shiny spots. If you really want them dry before you work on this next part, you can pause the video and hair dry it. It'll dry really fast. We're going to use the same brush in white, so no need to wash it. Pick up a little white and then brush it off on your palette before you start. At the top, I dab on a little snow on the very top of the tree. And then I literally just go across, back and forth, little dabs of paint. Like the snow's just kind of settled on there. And you'll see dark tree behind the snow, so you don't want these to be solid white. They should look like they're dusted with powdered sugar. Little powdered sugar trees. And the snow is great for hiding ugly trees.
There's no ugly trees.
I've painted some pretty ugly trees in my lifetime. My mom saved all my artwork from the time my very first drawing.
Yeah.
I was 2, and it was spiders. And it's because my grandfather and grandmother were both artists. My grandfather, that was his career. He was a career artist. And so as soon as I showed any indication of talent, I'm sure my mom was like, I'm saving everything. So she will a lot of times literally give me a plastic garbage bag full of my art that I've done over the years. And I don't appreciate it as much as she did, but I guess that's a mom for you. Maybe she just realized that I wasn't going to be famous and make a whole lot of money. So she's like, you can have it back. Thanks, Mom. I hope she doesn't watch this.
I'm not going to put her down this time like I did last week.
Put my mom down? What?
About the whole watching us.
Oh, and the YouTube. Yeah, Paul was like, we don't understand the YouTube.
Which is funny, because they watch YouTube all the time.
YouTube.
All right, there. See, now you got me started.
Okay. But yes, so I do get to see a lot of my very first trial and error art. It's really funny to look at. And like I remember getting, like in college, doing some stuff and thinking, wow, that's really good. And then looking at it now, I'm like, oh my, someone please burn this. And I'm sure some of the great masters would do that too.
Oh yeah. Like, it's hard to think of, but I doubt Claude Monet picked up a brush at the age of 8 and created a masterpiece.
It's a masterpiece.
I think Picasso did.
Yeah, I think Picasso did too.
But
he was super talented.
And I'm not the biggest Picasso.
Like if you look beyond his Cubism period and the abstract period, if you look at some of the stuff he did that was realistic, I never even knew until I got a Picasso book when I was like a teenager.
Like I'm not the hugest Picasso fan personally, but I have seen like there's some sketches from when he was a kid, like 6 or 7 years old, and they're like, wow.
Yeah, really amazing. But he kind of just did his thing. His thing was Cubism, and I think that's really cool to take, knowing you have like this talent to do hyperrealism and that kind of thing, and just be like, no, my niche is Cubism.
His blue period was pretty amazing.
Yeah, he did that. Let's see, he did some Harlequin paintings, and then he did the old guitarist, right?
Yeah.
Something's revving up their engine out there.
I don't know.
Showing off.
I don't know if they can.
Someone's showing off for the ladies.
Hey, ladies!
Listen to how my engine sounds. I've never understood that. Why, that whole thing.
Or the guys who like pull up next to a lady, make eye contact, and then zip off real fast. It's like, how'd that work for you, buddy? Did she chase you down?
I think you're cute. No, I'm gonna get away as fast as I can,
Did she
as loud
chase you
as
down
I can.
in your fast car? Nope.
I'm gonna take now some white paint and build up a base around these trees to kind of basically I'm hiding the bottom edge of these, and technically the snow would pile up around here.
So we have somebody asking if you can go over the snow technique again, just a few strokes.
Yeah, so what I did was, we had our dark, or it's not really dark, but it's kind of a grayish base. I'm using my medium brush, and I dipped it in the white, and I usually, when you first dip the brush in the paint, you pick up kind of a glob, and a lot of times I like to start with a small amount, so I'll brush it off on my palette or on my towel. If I brush it on my palette, though, then I can still use the paint. And then I'll paint in some kind of lumpy hillside like this. And then I brush down underneath that line I paint. I just keep brushing downward until the brush runs out of paint. And it will run out of paint pretty fast. And then I just go down another area. So I skip down a little bit and leave some of the gray. And create a different hill. And brush down away from that line I drew in until the brush runs out of paint. And you just keep working your way across the snowy area that way. And it works out pretty good. I see a spot back here. I want to get a little snow in just because I can see my
You missed a spot.
Trees. These trees back there poking through. So snow is not super hard to paint as long as you paint a darker base first. Because a lot of times I think what people immediately want to do is be like, oh, snow is white, so I'm just going to paint all white. Well, you need the dimension. And this is the same with painting white pets. I do a lot of paint your pet sort of classes. A lot of white poodle dogs. And rather than painting your sketched out pet pure white, you want to paint in like an almond base or a gray base or even like a pale blue base. And then you paint the white fur on top. So then you have those sections where you're seeing some of the darker patches along with the white fur, and it gives it some really cool depth and dimension. So that's exactly what this is doing, only snow, not fur. So there, I mean, you can... I
hope that helped.
Yeah, I hope that helped. You can do much more with your snow field. I just did a few lumps and bumps here and there. Looks like it would be difficult to walk through. So this next part is kind of weird, but I feel like the painting needs it.
Okay, what is it?
Do
tell.
Do tell. We're going to create a glow around this tree, but we have to create the glow first. So the reason I did this is I wanted the tree to look sort of magical and like it's glowing in the middle of these woods, and the lights are kind of creating this brightness around it. So at first it looks strange. This is what we do. And it looks like this until we start painting the tree over it.
It's a ghost.
And yeah, it does. It looks like a tall, like...
It's Pigpen from Peanuts if he lived in the snow.
Yeah, exactly. Pigpen from Peanuts if he lived in the snow. That technique. So I'm going to use my biggest brush. Make sure you clean it off and then dry it off really good. We actually don't want much of any water here, so I will usually dry it off pretty good. And then dip the corner of the brush, pick up some white, and figure out where you want your tree to be. You want this to be larger than the tree is going to be, so keep that in mind. And I'll dab some of this on, and you run out right away. So I got a tiny bit of a glow going there, and I'm gonna just keep building onto it. You just sort of figure out as you go how much paint you need to use. And then you can use your fingertips to kind of spread it around. Or you can use your brush. I did a combination of the two. Or you can use your paint rag if you really don't like getting your fingers painty. This does wash off. It's non-toxic acrylic paint, and it washes off with soap and water. And this is something that I probably will go back to and add a second thin coat to. So it looks like a weird, like we're doing some weird mistake right now, but I promise we're not. I remember when I painted the original, though, that I had to go back to it.
Pinky swear.
Pinky swear. And luckily, the paint dries pretty fast. So the shape is kind of like a haystack. Or a tall igloo. A tall see-through igloo that's misshapen. Gonna let that dry while I'll add more to it. You guys probably have the same thing I do where it's sort of see-through. But I'll let that dry. I'm gonna actually wash this and set it aside. And I'm going to have us actually work on drawing our snowman.
Snowman, do you want to build a snowman? I think that was.
I think I might.
That might have been the totally wrong melody.
I think it was.
I don't know. I've never watched that movie.
You remind me of the guy that plays piano at the Columbia Chorus.
What was he? Was he singing
the
that?
jazz piano?
Yeah, he was singing. But he did "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time,"
and it's totally jazz style, like 1920s jazz or whatever, like lounge singer jazz.
Oops, I did it again. I played with your heart.
Okay, that's enough. Okay, 3 balls, guys. 3 balls. We want the largest one on the bottom. The middle one is the middle size, and then the smallest is on the top. You can draw from the top down, so you draw this little one first, then the medium, and then the large, or you can go from the ground up. I've done both ways, and I can't really decide which one is better. We want to use our littlest brush.
Littlest.
And figure out where you want your snowman to be grounded at. So dip the brush in white. I think right here is a great spot, so keep in mind your tree is going to be here. And I've got this funky hill, but I'm just going to actually do this. I'm going to draw a U shape, a big open U shape. Do I hear? That can't be live music. Nobody can do live music right now. Kate Brown would have their head.
I'm going to go give him a piece of my mind.
Okay, so Kate Brown's our governor, she's our...
Let's not get into politics.
The governor of Oregon. So I just this is probably about the size of a something slightly bigger than a mandarin orange. I'm trying to think of what kind of sports ball to compare it to, but
it's like,
it's smaller than a baseball.
Yeah, it's
but that's just mine. Maybe yours is smaller or larger.
Mine's a little smaller.
I apparently decided to go from the ground up for drawing this. And all my snow rings, hold this up here, see? They're going to overlap each other because the snowballs do not just sit right on top of each other. They are kind of squished down. So here's what I'm going to do for the middle size one. I'm going to start down here and do that U shape again.
And if you guys play Animal Crossing, today is the first day you can build snow boys.
Snow boys, yeah, that was funny.
You know, there's something about that theme song that kind of ventures into Thomas the Tank Engine. It's close.
So Paul and I are huge Animal Crossing fans. We got it for our daughter, thinking it would be helpful to keep her mind off the fact she can't go to school and see her friends. But then he and I got really hooked on it. And we came in, we're totally going to change this island around.
She won't play it anymore.
No, she's kind of bored with it now. But she's onto Minecraft, which is really funny because Minecraft is one of those cyclical things.
Just kind of comes and goes.
Yeah. She'll be into it for a while, and then years will go by and she's not. And then she's back on it.
We just had to buy it again.
So last little snowball, smallest of the 3. You might have a different method of doing this that's better than mine. I'm not going to claim to be the best methodized snowman painter.
I went with a smaller snowman on mine just because I was liking how everything else was panning out. And
I'll let you.
I wanted the scale to feel like it's a much bigger area.
So I washed my brush, and now I'm going to use my medium brush to fill in the entire snowman. You don't need to fill in like each individual circular snowball unless you want to. Oops, this head's getting large. I made a mistake and had to make the head a little bit larger. So what I could do, if that happens to you and suddenly your head looks the same size as the middle, you can just make all 3 snowballs just a little bit bigger if needed.
You can always make them bigger.
Yep.
Can't make them smaller.
A little harder to make them smaller. So this first coat is going to be see-through, and we'll give it another coat so that it's not a ghost snowman anymore. It's going to be pretty opaque white by the time we're done with it. We do some fun shading. Gosh, this head got really lumpy. You can use pretty thick paint texture here. It's fun to do. In fact, I will hold up, because we were noticing this earlier. Look at the texture. Well, there we go. Have to tilt it. Look at that texture. So feel free to use pretty thick paint here if you like.
I hear Pretty Woman.
Do you think it's live music?
It's funny that I say Pretty Woman and your immediate thought is, it must be live music.
Because so many cover bands. But it could be Clancy's or 503. Either one.
Oh,
I don't think any of them would do live music right now.
You never know. As long as there's social distancing.
I don't know. I don't know that that's allowed. I heard like karaoke and stuff were like, nope.
Well, but that's different because
karaoke, you're sharing a microphone. Maybe live music is allowed.
I'm gonna peek.
Okay. So while he's peeking.
Oops.
Oh, geez. Did you set your head on that?
Yeah, I did. I'm good.
How much alcohol did you drink?
That's for me to know.
So finish giving your snowman a second coat.
Well, that tested the camera, like, stabilized really quick.
Yeah. Paul made our camera system a little more stable because we noticed a lot of wiggling in past videos. This guy needs to dry. I'm going to go back to this now and add just a little more white to it, starting from the center, working my way out. So I like the edges to be pretty hazy, almost like a fog machine is here. And that's where the finger painting comes in. Let's go back to kindergarten. You guys remember finger paints? They had a real distinct smell.
Almost smelled like Play-Doh.
Yeah, or paste. Did you ever have anyone in your class that ate paste?
It was me.
I bet it was.
No,
was it really?
No. I don't know. I don't remember. Maybe not in kindergarten, but I think maybe in preschool somebody did. But, I mean, we're talking 72 years ago.
Why do you think they would eat paste? Like, I never looked at it and was like, I wonder why some kids are like, yum, paste. Because it doesn't even look like anything that, like, maybe they think it's frosting? I don't know. It doesn't taste like frosting.
I don't know, but it seems like generationally it just keeps happening, so...
Does it?
I mean, I don't think it's unique to one generation or another. I'll just put it that way.
So yeah, it looks kind of like we have this ghost orb over here. With our see-through snowman, who's also a ghost snowman at this point.
Is he ghosting us?
And I'm going to, this is probably dried enough to be tacky enough to accept a second coat of paint. You don't need it to be 100% dry. It just needs to get kind of sticky. That way it will, a second coat can adhere to it. I'll just test it. Yeah, that's working great. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. If yours is still really wet and a second coat is not really adhering very well, then you can just pause the video, work on this part or some other part, or just hair dry your snow dude and or dudette, snow person,
snow being,
and get back to us. On the original, I didn't decorate the scarf or hat really with like polka dots or anything like that, but you absolutely can. I wanted to cut it down so that we're not like doing a video that's like 3 hours long, but
we should do that sometime.
That. You can decorate it.
Do a marathon painting.
Oh, wow.
3 hours.
We still have to do our challenge that we promised when we reached 1,000 followers.
We never figured out what that was going to be, though.
Yeah, guys, if you're watching and you like this, you can like and subscribe. It's real easy, and it's really good for us.
And if you're wondering, like, where do you get the supplies? You can go to our website, gobox.com.
And that's spelled like Van Gogh, G-O-G-H, box.
It's spelled just the way our channel title is spelled.
That's right, gobox.com. And we always take suggestions for paintings because we run out of ideas.
Sometimes. we get artist block. It happens.
We do. I get it. Usually, for me, it's spring and summer. Fall and winter, I can knock them out pretty good. Because I love whimsical snow and like fall owls and that kind of thing. We're going to shade this snow person. And now, while this is wet, it actually works really good. I want to make a really pale blue with just blue and white.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's bring the old palette over here. So, scrape aside some white and just take a tiny bit of blue. I'm using my middle brush because you'll notice it will overpower it pretty quick. The darker color always sort of overpowers it.
You must give in to the dark side.
Hey, it's Mandalorian night.
Yeah, you know it starts at midnight last night, so.
Okay. So I'll use this
Don't anybody
bluish,
tell us what happened.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know yet. I'll shade. See what I'm doing? I'm doing sort of a crescent moon shape over here to define each circle.
That's no moon.
I could... You're such a nerd. I could make this a little darker blue.
That's the second time you've called me a nerd tonight.
Well, you really are a nerd.
That's okay.
Nerd, nerd is an endearing term.
It is now.
Here we go. Swooping around. Now look at here. Here I'm going across the bottom edge of this middle ball. And it looks kind of cool. So what I like to do is I like to smooth these edges right here. So I'll do this last one. Ooh, went too fast. Do this last one here. And then I'll show you how to smooth the edges so it looks a little more blended. Like, have a look at this one. See, it's pretty blended. This one is not. What I'll usually do is either just wipe the brush off. You can have a little bluish paint on there. It's okay. Dip it in a little bit of white and brush over the edges of that dark color and just sort of pull it towards the right side. Up here too. We're contouring, guys. We're contouring our...
Can you see I built a snowman?
You always have to go extra.
I didn't go extra. How did I go extra?
I'm going to have to start going extra more on your...
You should. Do it.
I should. I don't know. Going extra on landscapes is not really... I don't know that that's a good mix.
There's nothing wrong with that.
With me, though, I'm not necessarily the greatest landscape painter.
You do just fine.
There we go. Blendy, blendy. If this ends up too dark, this looks kind of cool. It looks like the light source, the tree here, is lighting up this side, and that's really what I wanted it to look like. So it's casting a shadow over here. I'm going to wash my brush now, And you can come in, you can leave it like this, or you can come in with a little bit brighter white and paint the right side and let these two kind of just meet in the middle and soften up the edge where the two meet with just a little bit of this white and a little bit of blending. Blendy, blendy. Here we go. He's contoured. I kind of like this darker line along here. It really helps define it from the background, so I think I'm going to leave it. I could even do it on the other two snowballs, but I think the way it is just fine. And we're going to wash our brushes, and we're going to go down to the small brush. All right. Okay, we're gonna mix black and sapphire. So we're going to get a really dark color, indigo blue. I'm gonna mix with my medium brush, but I'm gonna paint with my small brush. That's a good habit to get into because your small brush you wanna preserve. And mixing paint, it can be kind of hard on the brush. If you wanna buy a palette knife, that works really good. It tends to work a little bit better with oil paint, which is thicker and more bodied. But it'll work for acrylic paint too. But I tend to just use the larger brushes to mix, and then the small brush will just be used for painting. So here's the color. You can see it is bluish. It's not just solid black, but it's really dark like black. So I'm gonna wash this middle brush off. Set it aside. And I'm gonna teach you how to draw a fairly defined tree compared to the ones in the background, but it's short and it's not super hard, even though it looks like it might be kind of hard. It's not.
Well, wait, didn't we want to do a second coat of white?
I did. Oh, you missed it. You missed it.
My bad.
So I'll take my little brush and pick up some of that color I made. I'm actually going to flip my palette around so it's closer to me. All right. And what I want to do first is make the single tree trunk. So it's going to be just below the top of our weird glowing orb. And it's going to come right down. Don't worry if it's wobbly, it gets covered up. So it'll come down to about there. It's a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Here's what we're going to do to it. We are going to turn it into this little three-pronged thing. So that's pretty easy to do to start. I just do a V. So you've got a pitchfork. You've got a snowman hand. There's a snowman that's been buried under the snow and he's reaching out going, help me. I'm going to show you blown up on paper what we're going to do. So here's our top of our tree. Here's those two that we just drew. You can forget about that area right now. What I do is I create little tiny pine needles. I use very light pressure in the very tip of the bristles. And up here there'd be one that kind of comes up. So it looks kind of like a feather. This one, same thing. Flick, 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 flick. Outward. Very light pressure, just the tip of the bristles. Look at that, it's already looking like an evergreen.
You just dawned on me, we're not going to get to see the Christmas tree at Skamania this year.
I know. Yeah, our events at Skamania Lodge keep getting canceled because of COVID. Dang you, COVID. There we go. So that's the top of our tree. Looks very Christmassy. And then from there, we shape out the tree in kind of a strange way compared to this. But just bear with me and follow along. Let's do those pine needles. Lightest pressure you can possibly manage. Here, see how I balance my hand on the side of the painting? This is why I often have paint on the sides of my hand and finger. Because a lot of times the painting is still wet, so it can be a little more difficult when the painting is wet. But right now, it's nice and dry, so we're okay. Scary looking tree, huh? I feel like I could make this a little bit taller. There. Now I'm going to turn the page. I like to show you guys the steps on the paper, especially if you guys don't have this. This is how we're going to shape it out. You see how weird looking that is compared to how it ends up looking? This is only to give us the bones of the tree, and then we fill it in with the flesh. Sounds creepy. So what I do is I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to do a couple short little tree boughs that come outward like that, like a mustache. And then the next one's going to be drooping a little bit lower. And then I just keep building them. See how they're getting a little bit longer and droopier? Drink your courage. These can go out a little, they can go out further, more horizontal rather than super droopy if you want. But we're shaping out a little feathery tree right now. Some people like to just do all one side first and then the other side. You do you. Figure out what you like, what feels comfortable. I kind of will do one side for a while, then switch back to the other. But I've also been known to just do one full side and then come back. Paul's doing it different. Always different.
I'm just making mine match my other tree shapes a little bit more is all.
You can step out of the box.
Well, I'm thinking of it as a tree that's just naturally growing there.
Oh, well, mine's not. Mine's a magical tree that just appeared, brought by Santa. There. Little feathery tree for right now. Funny looking, for sure. Looks different than the ones behind it. If you have gaps of the background showing through, we want to keep it pretty dense. So let's have a look at this. It's very dense. We add green on top, but it's very dense. You don't see the only space here. Let's see the picture. The only space that you will see the airspace or the light color behind it is on the ends. But look how full that is right in the middle. So what I'll do is I'll just paint some of this color in the middle area where I have some gaps. And then remember the needle thing that we did? We're not going to do every tree bough, but I like to do some of these ones that are more prominent on the edges. Just give them a little texture. I feel like I need a little bit smaller brush.
I think that is definitely live music. I don't know if it's somebody doing something out on the patio or
out in the street.
Maybe somebody has a band nearby and they're just practicing.
Oh, there we go. That'll be fun. So you can see the ends are becoming a little more needly. If you have a little bit smaller brush, if you're having a little trouble with this, that can work a little better. This is not too bad. Just light touch. A light touch and you won't end up looking super blobby. So this one we don't build snow up along the base, so I do put some needles down here. It's like it's just been plopped down. Santa literally just brought it down in his sled and left it. Don't you miss watching those old Christmas movies like Frosty the Snowman, like the Happy Birthday Frosty? Not the modern Frosties.
I mean, we have them all on DVD, so.
We do, but it's just weird. It's not the same as like waiting for that day that it airs on TV in that exact time. Isn't that funny? You'd think like instant gratification is the way to go, but there's something very nostalgic about waiting and knowing it's going to come on at this time. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, they do still do it.
Yeah.
We just don't.
Nope. No, our kids are. We have a 20-year-old and a 14-year-old, and they're not interested in that stuff anymore at all. No Elf on the Shelf. So here we go. A little full funky triangular, almost bell-shaped tree. That's okay. It's Christmas bell-shaped. And we'll get some green on it in a little bit. What do we do next? Okay, we already shaded our snowman. That was my next step. So I think right now, while our tree is drying, we can add the stick arms to the snowman. Let's see what he's doing. He's got one arm that's kind of going back at an angle, and it comes out not right in the middle of this. We're kind of seeing a 3/4 view of the snowman, so it's if you were to divide him into thirds, like 1, 2, 3, it's in this left-hand third here. And then this arm, let's see, I think we draw the arm first. Yeah. Just reading. Okay. Let's do it. Oops, black paint, little brush. Make sure your brush is clean from this bluey black that we were using. Use the very tip of the bristles, just dip it right in the black paint. And we'll go ahead and just mark a dot where you want the arm to come out on this side. And then it's a stick, so it can be wobbly. I'll purposely make it wobbly. Light pressure, guys, super light. That's a little long, but it's okay. Maybe it just looks long right now, so I don't have any scarf or anything. And let's add a finger or two. There. Super light pressure will give you nice thin branches. And this arm on the right here is bent and holding the lantern. So I'm just going to do this bend and then we'll put the fingers on. So it's probably right up here. If you were to sort of hover over across and maybe slightly up, make a dot. Some kind of marking point.
Mine looks like he's walking like an
Egyptian. And it's going to come down. We want the lantern, if you can get the lantern over this tree here, it'll be nice and bright. And mine on the original just is like barely on the edge. But just thinking out loud, look what I did here. Remember I was talking about leaning my... Oh, here, I'll show you my happy little accident. It's another tree. I'll just paint some snow.
You're going to paint a little rabbit sitting there.
I was leaning my hand against there. So I'm going to come down and bend and back up. Make a couple fingers in addition to that one. There we go. Now the lantern itself, it can either line up with the hand and be just directly below it, or it could be, you know, strung around his wrist, and it could be down here. Just kind of figure out where you want your lantern to go. You don't want it super close, like where it's going to crowd against the tree. Let's have a look at the original. It's maybe 1/2 inch away. I'll just guesstimate. It's not quite 1/2 inch. But, yeah, I have it looped around his hand, but technically it could be looped around the wrist. And let's mix yellow and white. We're gonna paint a block of cheese. That's what it's gonna look like at first. So white and about equal parts, maybe a little tiny bit more yellow for the warmth. Yeah, I'll do a little bit more yellow. The white makes it nice and opaque though, so it can be nice and bright over that dark tree behind it. Yellow and white, little brush. Now let's drop below the hand, maybe 1/4 inch, make a dot. Boom, right there. Can barely see it, but it's there, I promise. You see that little shiny dot? It looks like a light on the tree behind it. And I'm going to turn that into a short, maybe 1/4 inch wide horizontal line. I know it's kind of hard to see. And I'm going to build a little, either square or rectangle, it doesn't matter, it could be either. Like that. Fill it in. Let's fill it in. A little yellowy white. And this might be something that we give a second coat to because it's going over the dark color in the background. But we need it to dry. He's holding a little block of cheese. That's what it always reminds me of, like the Tillamook block of cheese. My lantern's kind of large compared to yours, but your snowman's a little smaller too.
Yep. Well, he's got such skinny little arms.
Okay. let's have a look at our tree. Is it still wet? Is yours still wet?
No.
Yours is nice and dry. I've got a few shiny spots, but I don't think it's going to cause any issue with what we do next. Painting the green on the tree is not as involved as painting all these individual little needles. Let's go ahead and mix blue and yellow. You don't need a huge amount of paint. So I have, you know, if I were to give, I do a lot of baking. If I were to say in teaspoons, this is probably 1/8 of a teaspoon, maybe. Let's throw some yellow in there. I always start with less yellow because I make sort of an evergreen color. So it ends up being kind of a dark teal at first, and I just gradually add yellow to it. And look, here I am breaking my rule. Mixing with my little brush. Bad. I've been trying to break that habit. I'll just keep going. Now you decide what green you like. This is about, for me, I kind of like this. But you could make a more yellowy green. I tend to like a bluer green, but
I'm going to go a little on the yellower side since we're going to be putting yellow lights.
those of you who did the barn, we did a very yellowy green through here. Or at least I did. I suppose when you first paint it on, I can see actually I need to add a little more yellow. It doesn't really show up quite enough. Let me scoop my palette down here. There you can see. Okay, so I'm going to just add little dots and dabs, sweeping from the center outward. We're tinting it green, but you're still going to leave some of that dark color showing through. So don't focus on covering every single pine needle. In fact, I don't even really cover a pine needle. I might dab a tiny dot of it on, but I don't go crazy trying to repaint each pine needle. There's no need to do that. My brush strokes are sort of downward and outward. So it's like we're adding snow to the tree, but it's green. This one doesn't have any snow on it at all, since it's the special tree. And yeah, my brush strokes are just sort of short and choppy and downward and outward. That's all I just needed. Well, look at that. With the dark background, it really makes it look like it's a three-dimensional tree, or at least I hope so. Very shaggy, almost like a shrub tree. And while that part dries, we'll bump back over to our snow guy, and we'll paint the scarf on. We do the scarf, and then we do the face. And we'll get a second coat on this lantern, but let's do that after we do the scarf. So you can do the scarf any color. You could do green, you could do a pale blue, you can make purple with red and blue and maybe add a tiny bit of white to it for opacity, or add more white, and it can be like a lavender color. So any color you want. I'm gonna get a coat of paint on here. And I'll probably drag my hand right through the wet paint because I'm known to do that. So if you have like this sort of thing happen, I'll just brush a thin coat on and then plan on coming back later and adding more. Okay, little side ADD there. Color. If you want to do the same color I did, it was a deep burgundy. I know in the pictures for the instruction, for whatever reason it looks black, but it's red mixed with a little black to make a burgundy. And let's see here. Oh, I'm gonna mix it with my medium brush. There we go. So that's really dark. I need some more red in it. This is like straight up Cabernet color. I want more cranberry. keep pulling more red. And we don't really use red in this painting outside of this. So you can use all the red you want. I started off with too much black, so here I am using all my red just to lighten it up. And, you know, I'm just going to set this aside because I might use this medium brush to fill in some of the scarf. But if you aren't going to fill in the scarf with that, you'll want to wash it off so it doesn't sit there and dry with paint on it. Okay, what I do first is I actually paint like what kind of looks like a dog collar on the snowman. I follow, if I were to redraw this circle, I follow the bottom part so it wraps around the head and you have a little collar. Speaking of little collars, we are getting a new family member next month. It's a baby puppy Shiba Inu, which is the breed we've had for 14 years. She will be our third that we've had. And we're pretty excited about that. We'll probably put her on the video at least once for show and tell.
We might have to bring her with us.
They are such cute puppies. Oh my gosh. But yeah, that particular breed is they can be a little crazy. So I did my collar thing, and then on this side I'll do like a backwards C shape and then a forward C shape here. So it's almost like I'm starting to draw a turtleneck, like it's a little mock turtleneck, and then I parallel line the first collar sort of thing I put on. So you end up with that shape. And I've already got this color on my medium brush. It's pretty blobby from mixing it, so I'm going to spin it off a little bit, pull and spin, and see if I can fill that in with this. Yeah, our older Shiba, she was in our first videos, you could hear in the background. She passed away in September, and so we kind of waited till where it felt appropriate to start thinking about another dog, and we found a breeder, and here we are.
Got lucky that they had a...
Lucky, because the dogs are hard to find right now. Everybody's getting COVID dogs.
This breed is a little bit... There's not very many breeders.
Yeah. Let's see. I have a picture of a baby Shiba. This one's a little floofier than they normally look because it's a long-haired one. There. Look at how cute. Isn't that adorable? Like, we're going to be swooning all over that puppy. Okay. Off topic. Okay. Yeah, little Chewbacca. Or it looks like Wicket. So here's what I do for the tails of the scarf. I am going to make a little noodly line like that first. And then you think about the width of the scarf. So you want to make this tail part the same width as this, because technically it is the same long fabric that's just wrapped around. So I parallel line this about that same width, which this is probably a little over 1/4 inch for me. And then I'm going to cap that across. And I have this nice tail to fill in, go right over the arm. If you're using the dark red like me, the first coat is a little transparent, so we just plan on putting a second coat on after it dries. We do a lot of second coats in this painting, I noticed. Now I could leave it like that, but I decided on the original to make one that's sort of blowing back, which is kind of fun. To do that, basically same sort of thing, like they did this little noodly shape that went down, and this time I'm going to do it out this way. And you want to parallel it so it's about the same width as that. Cap it off and fill it in. Makes it look like a little gust of wind came up. I noticed the sky on this one is a little lighter than my original. It's kind of fun to keep looking at it and thinking one is more nighttime and this is more daytime.
Maybe you used more water.
Yeah, or I had maybe used a little more. It looks like I used a little more blue and black. Fun. Faceless snowman. Alright. Oh, hat. Might as well do the hat now while we've got the color. And while we've got it on our brush, although I just naturally washed my brush. So you can do the hat the same color or a different color. Remember, you've got this if you got the kit. Have fun with that if you want. Maybe try mixing that with red. What color does that make? Kind of a purple?
It's going to make a purple, yeah.
Or you could use that for the decorations on the hat. That would be fun. Okay, for the hat, I just do literally, I made it kind of like, it reminds me of Little Red Riding Hood because it almost looks like it's connected to the scarf. It came down close enough that they touched, and I thought, oh my gosh, that's so cute. They're like connected. So what I did is you want to leave enough room for the face, and I just did this little scoop. It kind of goes with the circle shape, so I'm almost paralleling the edge of the snowman head. And then I did a hat where I came up like this and I did a curl. And then all I have to do is connect that. So you do your little curl. And then literally, yeah, just connect, get closer to that original line until you've got like one little skinny line. And you've got this really cute hat. If you want to do a top hat, so fill that in if you've done that. If you want to do a top hat, I think I might have said on the paper that you could do a top hat, so I thought I better show one.
Happy birthday.
Yeah, so there's your snowman, and he's, you know, we're seeing, like, the face is over here. There's the nose, mouth. So the top hat is also going to be kind of like I do this curve. And it's almost, you put it together very similar to the scarf. So you've got, like, these lines on the side and then that middle. And then the actual hat part, you want to make it about the width of the head. So see, the head is about that wide. And you come up and like that. And then once you fill all that in, you've got yourself a top hat. So whatever your vibe is, go for it. Either one works. I'm going to go ahead and fill this in. I'm going to fill most of it in with my medium brush. So this is something you can do. If you have something that's not really a super large space, but it is large enough that filling it in with your small brush would take a little time, I'll fill in the bulk center area with the larger brush. So I'm using my medium brush here. And then I save all these edges that would be harder to get to with the little brush. And like the scarf, this is going to take a second coat after it dries a bit. Because you can see the head, snow head through it. And we put a little white fuzzy ball on the end of the hat, so that looks cute. I washed my brush off, and I want to dry it off really good, get all the red out of there. If you need to pause and change your water, you can, but I'm still using dirty water. Paul's still using dirty water. It's kind of a grayish slate color right now. I'm going to do a second coat on this lantern. Now this second coat, you can do a little more yellow. So I could just paint plain yellow over that. That's going to make it really nice and warm. I really like a warm light on this. And then we add a bit of white in the center in just a bit. And that's what would be like the light bulb or candle. So it's really white and shiny in the middle. I'll point that out on here so you can see it. Right there, you can see that white circular part in the middle. My lantern keeps getting bigger and bigger as I do second coats. It's going to be gigantic. Big old lantern. How about we get a face on our snowman? I like to do the nose first because you can build the eyes and mouth around the nose. But if you do the eyes first, then you have to kind of space the nose according to that and where the mouth goes. So I almost always do the nose first. Now I have a carrot for the nose. Right there. So it's orange. The way you make orange is red and yellow. This particular yellow is, it's actually got some white in it, almost like gesso, sort of like some kind of white base to it. So it's really opaque, which I love, but it doesn't make the greatest orange. It takes a little manipulation with the yellow and red to get a good orange. So I did probably a little more yellow than red. If you use more red, it tends to be a little more coral colored, and this is borderline coral, but when you paint it on here, it definitely looks like an orange carrot. First, what I do is I paint a dot. So remember, we're seeing sort of a 3/4 view. So this right side, this right third of our snowman is where the face is going to be. So I'm going to put a little dot right about there. Now you could do a button nose. That would be really cute if you're afraid to draw a carrot. And I'm going to just draw a line that's either straight out or even can be slightly angled down, like it's looking down towards the tree. So just a single line. And then over here, I'm going to round like a little C shape, small, tiny, and go back and meet so it comes to a skinny point. It can be a large carrot or a small carrot. Or a button. Or a rock. I keep mixing color with my small brush. It's a habit I'm trying to break. It's hard. Let's paint the eyes on now. Your carrot nose, if it's a little see-through, just plan on putting a second coat of paint. Let's get the eyes on. So I dip the tip of the little brush in some black. And I paint an eye over here. Little circular shape. And then over here. That's cute. This one over here could be slightly smaller because we're seeing it from this side. But also they're rocks, so they have different sizes. And then the mouth, literally just little tiny, barely touching the board with the tip of the brush and creating these cute little dots. Fun. I did black buttons down the front. About the size of the eye. 1, 2, 3. I like odd numbers. Wash the brush.
Wash it? Do it.
Wash it, wash it, wash it. What are we on? Technically, we'd be doing the lantern next. Like the white and the... Let's do the white blob in the center because it's probably dried enough. And if it mixes with wet yellow paint, it's not going to be a biggie. I'm literally just dabbing a circle of white. So then it just has this look like there's a candle inside. How about we put some lights on our tree? A couple different ways these are done. These larger ones, you see there's a couple different sizes. I have really larger ones and tinier ones. Larger ones I do with the handle of the brush. Just stamp it in plain yellow paint, not mixed in any color, and just stamp them all over. And then the smaller ones, I flipped it around, wipe off the handle before you do that, and then just like we did the mouth, little tiny yellow dots. But look how lit up that is. Crazy, lots of lights. I love lots of lights on a tree. So I'll dip the handle of the paint in the yellow. In fact, I'm going to flip my palette around so the yellow is closer to me. I'll put it up here. And just start dotting away. As your handle runs out of paint, your lights will get smaller. So that's kind of a fun way to vary the sizes without putting in the effort. Sometimes I'll feed off like one of these larger dots, so I'm not always having to go right back to my palette. Because I'm lazy. Pop, 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 pop. So tomorrow I'm going to film a video for a new kit I'm going to do. Also as a snowman, I'll show you in a second here. So that kit will be available once I get the video filmed. We've made the mistake of making kits available before we film the video, and then that puts a lot of pressure on getting the video filmed right away. And also, like if you have any technical difficulties, which we have had plenty of those, where like we'll film a whole video and realize the volume was not on, or it runs out of battery, the camera. That's always fun. So yeah, I will film the video and then I'll put the kit on. But obviously, guys, I've switched to the tip of the bristles now. I'm going to show you that painting. This one was designed by Annalise, one of my instructors in the studio. She is an amazing painter. And look how cute that is. This one is called Winter Welcome. So snowmen are not just for Christmas. This we can paint in January, February. People associate snowmen with Christmas, probably because they're frosty. But technically, snowmen could just be all throughout winter.
Hey, how many times have you built a snowman in Oregon before Christmas?
Yeah, or after.
No, but usually it's January or February.
Yeah, it is definitely always like my birthday. My birthday is February 9th, and I've had large snowfall on my birthday here and there. Yeah, I don't think, I can't build a snowman because it's not Christmas. Okay, I love that. Very lit up. Very fun. Wash that brush. Let's get a second coat on our scarf and hat if needed, if you haven't done that yet. I'm going to flip my palette around. And I'll use my medium brush just like I did before, just to get the bulk big areas carefully. Crimson. This color's like alizarin crimson.
It is kind of. Got a little bit of that slightly cool bluishness to it.
Yeah. We used to laugh. So Paul and I, we've known each other for a super long time. We met when we were 18 and we're both old now. But
speak for yourself, older woman.
Yeah, I am 4 days older than Paul.
You're giving away our birthdays.
So anyway, we met and Paul started coming to, I had him come to one of my oil painting classes at college. That's where we met, college, and he really liked it. So started signing up for the credit class, and we took a lot of painting classes. At community college, actually, we took a lot of night, after we first got married, we didn't have a lot of money to do like date nights and stuff, and we didn't really drink. Why didn't we drink back then? Probably expenses. We just didn't really.
I just never was into drinking much because I was a pretty serious athlete up until.
Yeah. We were skinnier then. It's probably from the drinking. And the no drinking, we were skinnier. But anyway, one of the fun things we used to do is we lived just minutes from Portland Community College. So we signed up for night classes there for painting, and we would do that Tuesday and Thursday every week. It was date night every Tuesday and Thursday, and the teacher was like, he knew we weren't getting credit for the class, so he was like, do whatever you want. He'd even have us help some of the other students. That was kind of fun. But yeah, we enjoyed that a lot. So that's a fun thing you can do. Sign up for community college classes once it's all back in session, and have your own little date night. So we are, we got the hat filled in, the hat and scarf with the second coat. I'm going to now put the black on the lantern. So here's a zoomed in picture of what we do. It might look complicated, but it's super easy. We literally trace the square, do an X, and we draw a tiny little flat-ish triangle on top. So your littlest brush, black paint, and I'll just first trace. There we go. So I've got a little black box filled in. And I'm going to do this sort of flat triangle on top. If it ends up being more pointy, that's okay. Mine's really close to my snowman's hand, so I'm just going to make it kind of low and flat and wide. As wide as the lantern is. And then we'll go ahead and put the X through the center. So literally just connect one corner to the other here. And this one too. Oop, I had a little too much paint on my brush there. And then for the loop, I don't know if you guys can see, I just did a little loop, little circle that loops right over the hand. And it's not something that's super visible, so don't stress out about it at all. There. If your carrot nose needs a second coat of orange, now would be a good time to do that. Here I am I'm guilty of mixing it with my small brush, but it's such a small amount of color that I need. I guess as long as you don't squish your brush around too much, it's okay.
Yeah, you don't want to squish it.
No squishing the brush. And let's put the little white ball on the hat. So you want to make sure this tip of the hat is dry, or just plan on a pink ball. And you can literally just dab your brush in a little dabby circle, or you can do a more refined circle that's just you draw it and fill it in, like the snowman ball. If you want to do something along here, you can, but keep in mind your snowman's white, so if you did a fur lining along here, like a Santa hat, it's probably going to disappear. But I'm going to take some of this turquoise, because I didn't use it at all on my painting. Pop, 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 it's in there. There, I just need a tiny bit. And I'll use the handle of my little brush, and I'll just decorate the hat with these turquoise dots. Oh gosh, that's so cute. Just kind of randomly space them. And the scarf, I could decorate completely different. I could do like stripes. So keep in mind on the tail, it's going to go one way. And on the part that's wrapped around the neck, it will go the other way. Just going extra here. This was not on the original. It's just fun. It's the holidays, it's Friday night, and it's fun.
And we get to listen to live music.
Yeah, it doesn't sound real great, though, just because of the filter through the window.
It's hard to tell, but it sounds to me like it's just your typical...
cover band?
Like classic rock, blues rock
Totally.
Cover band, yeah. Mustang Sally!
Okay, so we just have 2 steps left. We want to warm up our snowman with a golden glow, because this lantern would technically be shining along here. I thought about doing that around the tree. What?
You said The Shining?
Oh.
I said Red Rum.
Yeah.
You could put Jack.
Put the Stanley Hotel. Yeah,
you could put Jack kind of like nestled down in there underneath the tree. There's still a tree right in the background here.
Frozen.
Little frozen Jack.
And I gave the warm yellowy glow to, so I gave it to the snowman head, abdomen, and butt area, bottom area. A little in the eyes and the buttons, and a tiny bit on the scarf right here. You technically could put a little on the nose, but it's such a small area, you don't really need to. I'm going to use my medium brush, and I don't use pure yellow. I mix white and yellow, make a soft pastel yellow. So let's try equal parts and see what that does. That's about right. Just a couple shades lighter than the actual out of the tube color. And you don't want a lot of paint on your brush. This is just kind of a tint. So when you mix paint, you end up with more on your brush, so I always will brush it off on your palette or your towel. And I'm just literally going to follow the curve of the body of the snowman. Let your brush run out of paint. If you end up with too much and it just looks too yellow, you can paint white back over it after it dries a bit. I think I've got some kind of yucky color in there. Probably my water, the grayish. So yeah, I could soften up Soften it up with white. The same bass riff. And then on the face, there's not really a lot of room. I put a tiny bit, but I wouldn't even worry about it. There's such a small amount of space. I'll use my little brush, though, definitely for the eyes. Just a tiny little swoop. Like these are rocks and the light is highlighting it. And then let's see how it would look on the carrot nose. It would be, the light would come up here and probably hit the underside of the nose. I mean, it's something that's not really super noticeable. And now all we're going to do, our last step before signing, is we're going to put snowfall, and that really brings it all together. Here we go. See that? Lots of snow. Done with the handle of your little brush, just like we've been doing. And that will be all the steps. So your snow dots, you would have them, they'd be over the snowman, they'd be over the tree, although they kind of get lost over the tree. They'd be over the hat. And of course over all the trees in the background. White paint, obviously, and just dot away. This is a great thing to use if you have any weird splattery spots. Like I ended up with a couple spots back here. I kept looking at them thinking, oh, there are eyes back in the forest. Well, I'm going to put a snow dot there. Don't want any creep factor with this painting. I'll continue doing that, but I want to get a second coat on this nonsense here.
There's no nonsense. What are you talking? Oh, I said that was a little oops diddy boops.
I could have made them be like little elf tracks, and they just continue up to the tree. That would be funny.
I told you.
I've turned a lot of happy little accidents into other things.
I suggested you just make it into a little rabbit.
Did you? I tuned you out.
That's typical. They're doing boot scootin' boogie. I hear it.
Are they really? I want to know where they're at.
I don't know. Let's go find out.
Live music? What is this? Live music? Is there a lot of cars out there?
I don't know.
I don't remember what live music sounds like. We bought tickets to a concert that was supposed to happen in May. And we bought the tickets, obviously, before COVID, like several months before.
I think we bought them like last November or something like that.
And it just keeps getting pushed further out. It got pushed to February, and now obviously they can look at February and know, oh, that's not going to go. Things probably won't be completely open back up by then. So they pushed it now to August. Or you can get your money back. But I'm not the type that is like, give me my money back. Because I know, like, artists especially, we're all struggling. This is a small band. And so, like, asking for refunds at this time.
It's kind of a jerk move.
It's kind of a jerk move. It really is. And, I mean, unless you're really, really needing it.
Which some people might be.
Some people might be. Yeah, I'm not going to. Definitely not going to knock that at all. But, you know, if you are okay with your concert tickets not being refunded or whatever, it's really nice because the art industry, Cirque du Soleil, all of those completely hit. Those people are out of work right now.
I'm done.
Yay. We'll show yours in a minute. I'm just about done. I love the noise. Pop, pop, pop. Here. I love this painting. It's so cute. Now, one of the things you guys could do, because I'm feeling like showing extra things, I always will get to this point sometimes. These fun snowflakes. Yeah, you can add those. They are really a cute touch. And some people are just really good at these. So feel free to do that. I'll go ahead and do one real quick on this. So I use my littlest brush. I'm just going to do one so I can show you. If you're done, you can sign it. I always do like a straight line that's maybe about a 1/2 inch in length. Even up to 1 inch is okay. Or smaller. And then I do an X, and each of these lines is about the same length, or they can be a little longer or shorter. I feel my finger dragging through wet snowflakes. That one ended up a little long. And then what I'll do is, a lot of times I'll just do like a little V at the ends of these. Obviously down here they're going to be upside down V's. Light touch is the right touch. Do like a dot in the center. And sometimes I'll do like a little line across. Endless possibilities. There's no two snowflakes alike, and that's pretty incredible when you think about it. And look at that. How cute. You can add more of those if you want, but they are really fun, and I'm really shocked at how well students do with these, considering they're pretty dainty with a small brush. Better sign it now. I'll use turquoise. I'm going to mix a little white with it. So when you sign it, a lot of people just have developed their artist signature over times of doing paintings, and mine's changed for sure. I used to have a different signature, and as my art changed, my signature changed. Right now I'm just doing I do two little loopy letters for my initials, and when I do paintings that I sell on commission, I sign it with my full name. So my Van Gogh paintings are always signed like this. My sellable art, or my art that I sell on Etsy and to people who commission me, I sign it with my full name. So that is it. Hope you guys had fun. I had fun. It was really enjoyable. I love this painting. I love any holiday paintings, especially the whimsical ones.
I had a great time.
I'm excited to do Paul's. Let's see, let's grab it. Next Friday, tune in for this one. Completely different than mine. You'll get to learn a lot of classical landscape elements with this one. Clouds, trees, snow, and mountain.
Oh my goodness, I throw you the whole gamut.
Throw you the whole gamut. Okay, and then let's move my stuff aside and show Paul's. Oh, that's cute. You did a good job, actually. I mean, shouldn't act like I'm surprised. But your your snowman looks really good, and I know sometimes like the whimsical elements you struggle with a little bit. So
sometimes.
You did nice backlighting along here.
Little backlight to define the edge.
And on your hat, stripes.
I was thinking of the ribs.
Kind of hard to see on the video. I can kind of see. Yeah, like the ribbed line.
More of a ribbed hat.
Nice little. I was a little curious about that yellow light, but no, look at that. It looks really pretty. It looks very Arctic.
Yeah. Well, we've been watching Alone.
Yeah, we have.
Up in the Arctic.
Alone is both focused in the Arctic. And then you put some yellow shine. Oh, I guess I did too. I missed a step for us, guys. There's a little bit of yellow around here. I tend to go easy on that kind of thing. I did that on the barn too. And just like it's a reflection of the tree lights. I'll do it real quick, I think it's one of those things that's really easy to overdo. Yeah, and I always think, like, don't eat the yellow snow. That's my dad used to say that whenever we'd go play in the snow. Have fun. Don't eat the yellow snow. So I don't have very much paint on my brush. We don't want that. It's a tint, just like we did here. And I literally just scribble back and forth around the tree. If you want, it can be left off. See, I forgot it, so it wasn't that important. Looks good on Paul's. So that is it.
That's it.
That's it for now. Till next week.
Wait. Let's try that again.
Woo.
We're back. So, we'll see you guys next week.
Yep.
And
enjoy the rest of your week. Holiday's coming real quick. Hope you guys can take some time to yourselves and relax a bit. I know some of you guys messaged that you're way far behind on paintings.
Yep. Take that.
You have to take that time for yourself.
You got to take that me time.
Only a couple hours.
It's only a couple hours. Twice a month. So...
Make sure you're doing that.
We've talked about, and let us know what you guys think about this, we've talked about the idea of maybe staggering live sessions so they're every other week instead of nothing, then 2 weeks of live classes. So let us know if you guys like that idea.
We're still learning too.
Yeah, I mean, it's
feedback is great.
Yeah, I mean, it would kind of be like a thing like we would get your subscription like the second, we'd ship it out like we have been, and then we'd do our first painting maybe the third week of that month, and then the next painting the first, like basically the same week we ship.
Yeah.
But then you would be doing paintings every other week instead of just a little bit more spread out. And let us know if you like that idea. It's something we don't really care one way or the other, but if it's easier for you guys that way to schedule it.
And what night of the week is best.
Yeah.
Fridays felt good this month.
Fridays this month.
Look how many people are tuned in. It's really nice to see that. We don't get a huge amount of people participating in the live videos just because plans and whatnot, especially around the holidays. So it is nice to see so many people tuned in today.
And if you are new this month, we did move everything up a week as far as our live streams because of the holiday.
Because we figured
that
you'd want to hang your paintings up for the month of December. So we thought, let's get that one in early.
Yeah,
and your snow one next week. So we'll see you guys. Like, subscribe, click the notification bell. It's great for us. It ups our visibility on YouTube. And we've been having orders come in from East Coast, which is awesome because you guys are finding us on YouTube. So that's great. And I hope you have
And those of... Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say, those of you that do find us on YouTube and you're wondering... How do I get started? Go to our website, gobox.com. It's GOGHBOX.com. We offer all of the projects that you see on our channel as kits, which include the canvas or the birch panel like we use tonight, the paint, brushes are available to purchase. It's all the stuff we use, so you'll have all the exact same stuff. No going to the store and trying to second guess what color of blue are they using. Well, you know what? You can just order it straight from us, and then you'll be dialed in and ready to go.
And we've got some kids paintings. If you have a kiddo that's interested in at least one date night where it's two canvases but one image that stretches across. What's the other one? Crater Lake.
We have Crater Lake and then the birds one, Lovebirds.
Oh. Yeah. There you go.
And we'll probably work some more of those in. Those we typically don't do as a subscription, but we can definitely do. We'd like to do those. Those are fun ones to do. So we'll work some in as regular kits. So.
Yep. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you next time.
See you next week.
Happy painting.
Happy painting.